So now we're going to welcome Patti Brownsord of Grounded with Data. She's going to tell us great and wonderful things. Patti.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. A lot of great new faces. I'm Patti Brownsord. I co-own Grounded with Data. We're a market research and data analytics consulting firm, and we like to work with nonprofits and startups, basically in the second stage, or even businesses that are just tired of where they have been and are looking for growth. But we're also big nerds. So as you can see, this says, heavy thinkers who coach others using data to shift perspectives. And that's us in a nutshell. And if you were quick enough to pick up that this was a haiku, we want to be your friend. And if you now see that it's a haiku and go, oh, haiku, cool, we would also like to be your friends. So going back to being big old nerds, it's my business partner and me, Dr. Jack Slingluff. Hopefully he's on the Zoom. Hey, Jack.
Yep.
But it's not just the two of us. I'll get into both of us in a second of the kind of the story of how we came together. But we also do have a team of contractors that like to work with us and play in our sandbox. And they're big old nerds too. But the highlight of this is that they love to go, like nerds, the definition of that is they go deep. They go deep on any topic and get super excited about it. And when you want them to be silly on May the 4th Be With You Day, they get involved. My business partner, Jack, he actually has an app on his phone that you can add lightsabers. So I just sent him a picture of my dog playing with another dog yesterday. He came back with, they have lightsabers now. So that's kind of how we like to rock and roll. So a little bit more about Jack. He started in market research, and he's a basic statistician. But if it could be measured, monitored, or surveyed inside of a major casino enterprise complex in Vegas, then he has done it. He was one of the ones where the C-suite would call him an hour before a meeting saying, we're going to make $1 million decision. Run this data analysis really fast and tell us which way we should go. Go. And he would make it happen. But his superpower really is to weed through all that chaos to find the wisdom and help clients be able to see what they have in their hands. Sometimes the clients feel it's a mess, or it's not enough data, or it's too much data, and he helps really figure out how to get them into making it useful. Myself, my background is in advertising and marketing, and then I moved into business intelligence. Once I got into business intelligence, I was reminded that everything I had done in media planning and digital outdoor billboard space and marketing itself was all about either being a head person or a heart person in making decisions. And I've always been the head person. I've always used research and data and numbers to back everything up. And I was always on the forefront of having to figure out how to explain it to others who didn't know what I was talking about at first. And so I became an excellent translator between the geek speak and everybody else. And so I use that to help craft stories that can become much more memorable to the audiences that we present to. So with that, there are a couple different ways that we start working with clients. Most of my clients come from referrals. So we either get an email introduction from someone, they set up we have a coffee date together, and it's 3 people getting together, or I meet someone at a networking event, and there was a herd need where I'm like, yeah, I do data, and we like to do nerdy stuff, and they're like, I need you, let's go chat. So at this point, I get into a presentation. It's a little bit more customized for what I feel like the prospect needs. And so for this audience today, I'll kind of keep it high level. But my strategy for winning prospects is usually having a 15, 30-minute conversation with someone at first, and then saying, well, who else are your decision makers, using the RACI model of who else needs to be in the room to hear everything I've got to share. And then I hear some of their problem statements. I can make the presentation with actual specific examples of clients based on these different kind of strategies that we work through. And then we say, well, what's next? Let's build a collaborative proposal together. Let's use a crawl, walk, run strategy, because no one wants to get into a jetpack yet with working with somebody like us, and we don't want to get with them because we don't really know how clean or dirty their data is. Let's all just do this closely together and work together. So now I'm going to give you kind of a little high over level using some overarching stories and analogies to help you understand what we do. So first, we help clients see the forest, the trees, and the pathway forward. Sometimes their path, they're on it, but they're so nose down that they're not looking up and realizing that some of their information and data trees and how they present themselves are starting to rot, are starting to wither, are starting to go dormant before too soon. Or they're so busy looking up going, we have amazing stuff, but it's so much that they get off the path. So we can help them get back onto that path using different frameworks that we've developed, and also just our business acumen and how we can see that forest, trees, and path all together. Another thing we can do is sometimes clients, they start with different systems, and they're all over the place, and they don't talk to each other. So in order to create some kind of single source of truth so that people can go, aha, yes, I trust this data, it is accurate and it is timely, we can build the root system that helps connect all the pieces together to make that single source accurate, useful, and beneficial for their business. And then there are the spreadsheet people. Who can read a spreadsheet and be like, yes, I can interpret this very easily. I mean, there's a couple of us, but we've worked our brains on that way. People aren't that way. People are not robots. They need stories. And so we have that ability to look at a 300-column spreadsheet of useful information, but actually make it useful enough that you can tell the story. Our clients can tell the stories to their clients and make everyone look like rock stars on how they're able to express that information. So that's one of our favorite things to do. Sometimes we'll create the 300-column spreadsheet ourselves, trying to run analysis. We give them a peek behind the curtain, and then we go, but here's your results. If you trust us on how we did the methodology, then we got you, and we got your story that you can tell. And then sometimes they have a lot of research, or they're like pelted, they've got a board of directors that go, oh, here's a new white paper, go check this out, or here's this, here's that, here's this. And it's like, I got too much. I don't know what to do. Or, I want to go into this kind of new realm, but I'm so exhausted with the idea of trying to find new information to see where I can fit. How do I do it? And so we can help kind of cull through that. Like I said, Jack has the ability to look at the chaos and find wisdom. He has the ability to look at all this kind of wonderful information and distill it down into understanding a model or the environment, landscape in which things appear. So we've been doing this with a lot of different size clients, foundations, nonprofits, even startups, to help them understand their personas better for their brands, or what markets they should go to. And they've really found it super helpful and useful for us to do it for them. And then last, sometimes the client needs more information. So they need to ask their stakeholders first for, how are they feeling? Or they haven't actually done a customer satisfaction survey in a while. So we can orchestrate, see my pun? So we can orchestrate how to go about that survey process. And we can also do focus groups. So sometimes it's getting right to the source and understanding what they do, or what they do to their clients or their stakeholders, and what they need to do to make that experience better. So we can do that too. So that's all the time that I have. Sometimes this presentation can go about 20-25 minutes when I'm working with somebody as a prospect. I'll have 2 different kinds of examples depending on if they're nonprofits or for-profits. And so, this is just kind of how we start the conversation with our clients. And then, like I said, we really go crawl, walk, run. We want to develop a relationship with them and have a long-term, if they're growing, we're helping them grow, and we all work together. So my calls to action today are really just check us out more on groundedwithdata.com. I've got 2 QR codes here. One is to our website. We have a section called the Approachable Data Folks. And the Approachable Data Folks is where we house some of our research and our blogs. You can sign up for our newsletter. We provide educational emails every 3 weeks based on some of the research we perform. And then also, if you would like to connect with me and sit down and have a coffee, a lunch, or a happy hour, I have links for all of that I can send you to add to my calendar. I'd be happy to do so. But you can connect with me on the More on Patti. It has all of my contact information, LinkedIn, and you can also plug in your first name, your last name, and your email, and I'll be able to send you a note back. And then the last haiku, obviously, of course. The force-shaped stories, meaning blooms, everlasting, wielded with purpose. So, thank you, everyone.
Really awesome presentation. Do we have some questions to start off with?
My target market, there's basically 3 different groups. The first are nonprofits that have been around long enough to have a substantial donor database, or they're looking to grow that database in general. We can also chat with them early on to say this is how you should set it up. So that way when you do have enough, it's not garbage in, garbage out, you can do something with it later. The second one are startups, second stage businesses that are looking for growth, and they've learned like the traction strategy where they need scorecards, but the traction strategy doesn't actually explain how to do scorecards really well. We have a framework that can assist with that, help them with understanding their revenue, operations, marketing, and kind of people goals. And then the last are actually, I want to do more work with foundations. Because foundations give grants to nonprofits, and that helps us expand our reach to increase the overall, collective consciousness of the world. Then I want to do more with foundations. We've done a lot. We worked with 2 foundations solidly for a little bit, and I want to do more.
What do you charge, and what is your target size of company? What do you charge based on how big the company is?
Yeah, our charges are based on 3 factors. First, are they a nonprofit or a for-profit? We do charge for-profits more. And then with nonprofits, we have kind of a little bit of a heart rate that we give, not a head rate. And then with the crawl, walk, run strategy, it's more of how can we break down pieces into smaller bites? How do you eat an elephant when you're doing all this major data work? How can you take bites at a time? And so then the second factor is based on the capacity that the startup or nonprofit even has. We could come in, do all these amazing things and be like, and here you go, but you have no capacity to do the things that we've done, and you have, everybody's wearing all these hats. So it's like, how can we get them into your systems and into your processes? So it's the capacity, and then it's their overall budget. So we can work as quickly or as slowly as they need, depending on how much per month that they have to give. Sometimes our coaching stuff is we do a lower amount, but we work with them longer and give them the homework. Like, I don't actually like cleaning data. So if if a client will clean the data, we'll come back and be like, is the data clean? Great. Or if they're like, I don't even have the capacity to clean the data. Take it. Then we'll clean it ourselves, but we'll charge for it because I don't want to do it.
You do a lot of quantitative research. Do you ever do qualitative focus groups, things like that?
Oh, yes. Very much qualitative. We'll take sometimes we'll do like a survey to gain a qualitative understanding of the landscape of the whole environment of who we're checking for, and then we'll bring that into a qualitative survey group to say, well, en masse we heard this. How did you answer, and why do you feel that way? So that way we can get that that nugget, which is especially needed for like nonprofit situations when they're trying to measure impact and outcomes. It's getting those stories that are so important, but it's also important for marketing in general.
Patti, do you have a customer example?
Sure. So I can't say their name right now in an NDA, but they're a startup. They're a national, or they want to be national, but they also know that they can't start out advertising nationally. There's just not enough money in the budget, right? So we talked to them and said, well, who are your ideal customers? Now let's go out and see how we can quantify those ideal customers and understand where they live in the United States, so we can build kind of a quality and quantity ranking system to say, well, you live in this state, your friends live over here, so you thought starting in this state and over here would be great, but actually your state ranks really low on even having the people that you want to reach. So let's do this one over here, and let's do this over here. But then we also took the next lens and said, and then what's the media efficiency of those if we advertise digitally? And then, based on the quantity of the people that are there, do you need to, you can only spend $2,000 a month to advertise to them and reach a lot of them? Or is it going to take $17,500 to reach the same amount in the market and the same frequency. So we always take it for our client to the what's next and so what and now what. That's the most recent one. So that's why it's so top of mind. But that's actually for a for-profit. For nonprofits, one of the things that we really like to do is gap and asset analysis. So this nonprofit has lock in one county, but they're responsible for the entire Central Florida region. And so what we did for them was we understood, well, if you feel like you've got Orange County on lock, then let's take that as the baseline, look at all the services that are already provided in the other counties and see per capita, does there need to be more in this area? Does there need to be more in this area? Or is this okay? Is this okay? And what that was able to provide to them is say, well, the transportation thing, that's covered, but this thing needs help. So we can go apply for grant funding to do that. So those are kind of two different examples of us helping nonprofits and for-profits just make the next decision.
So, I've got data. I'm looking for data, meaning that we were looking for something the other day, we're having a very difficult time finding it. So do you have any sources to dig into?
Oh yes. We are just gluttonous for finding sources. We try and always look for cheap and free. Jane with the library actually gave us a couple of more research points that we're like, oh, that's free? Okay, we'll take that now, thank you. And so we're just always on the hunt for new data. I've been so surprised by our team of what they're able to find. One time we were working with the Central Florida Substance Abuse Coalition, and we found this study that was written about in an article online, and one of our teammates went to that study, found out who wrote it, contacted them directly, got access to the data source. We made magic. So that was a good time. But we'll hunt for data. So with the first example I gave of the business wanting to make decisions, they don't have any data to start from. So we had to first understand who they thought their target audience was, but then we did research to corroborate whether or not that made sense. But we also had to do research on the best ways to define that audience. And then we went and hunted for data that was quantifiable that would help us make those rankings happen. So that's how that 300 column spreadsheet occurred. And we were able to whittle it down, build some formulas, build some frameworks, and go, all right, here are the 30 metrics that make the most sense in identifying who the most valuable thing is. And we had to find all that. So that was exciting and a big one for us.
For entrepreneurs who are often pulled in a lot of directions, and sometimes they put off collecting quality data, can you tell us how easy is it to set up a form and start collecting quality data?
Sure. Collecting quality data is really about why. Why are you collecting it? In this day and age of transparency and authenticity, if you're going to start collecting data from your customers, they want to know why and what you're going to do with it. And if you decide to do anything with it, they really want to kind of know. And so when you do want to start collecting data from the onset, first understand what your North Star for collecting that information is, but you have to think you have to vision that out. But you also can't be like, I want to collect absolutely everything now. Once again, crawl, walk, run. But understand, what do you need now? What would you potentially need a couple of years from now to have enough data? And what would you need farther down? So maybe don't start quite asking that yet, because if you're not going to use it for a long time, people are going to be like, why am I giving you my favorite ice cream flavor? If you're not going to use it until much later. So as a start, even a simple spreadsheet will do of just understanding your customers. And so if you're a B2B, life is a little easier because you can, you have that one-to-one relationship with who you're prospecting. But if you have a B2C and you are starting to get sales, just make sure everything is clean and formatted correctly. So don't put in Florida, flu, and then all caps Florida. No data system knows how to merge those together, right? So just think thoroughly through it, and then we can help with that. So we'll come in as a data coach and say, all right, let's help pull out of your brain what that North Star is. Let's help you vision on what you can do with it. And then this is how you collect it. Now come back to us in 3 months because we think you'll have enough data to do some fun stuff with. Okay, go do that. Go. So that's how we help them.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Where would you like to be?
I am hoping in the next 5 to 10 years that we still continue to have a very good stable of workforce with us. We're always looking for new contractors and gig economy data nerds that want to do things on the side. But we also hope that we'll be able to pull 1 or 2 into the fold. Having mini clones for me and Jack would be ideal. But we're rare birds, so we might have multiple clones that are necessary. I would like to do more speaking like this. I'm also speaking at the PRSA Orlando in August, their breakfast, about how I use all my artificial intelligence friends to make my life easier as a content marketer and a social media person and head of marketing for my business. I'd like to have all those pieces in place of having like an assistant salesperson and then an assistant marketing person. That would be lovely, because right now we wear all the hats because we're second stage entrepreneurs ourselves.
Patti, just to follow up to Bob's question, is scalability all based on human capital, or is there technology you're trying to build systems
Correct.
so you can scale without having to add 1,000 hertz, for example?
Oh yeah. So everything we do, when we build it, we're constantly building frameworks that are models that can be licensed and reused by others in that capacity. The data model that we created for the one client whose name I can't mention, we'll be having a conversation with them about, this is really good, do you want us to not sell it to others? Or are you okay with it? And then we've got something that is a model, it's already been built, the process is done, and so now it's a shake and bake. Like we build formulas and frameworks and models for anything that we do, so that way we remember what we've done and we can always tweak and iterate, but then it is a set system. And the nice thing is that we found that it's universally applicable, like our state of the business and state of the data, all that works for nonprofits and for-profits. Everybody is essentially the same in what has to come out of their brain. It's the output that is different and unique to them, but getting it out has been the same. So we can hopefully with the mini clones, so it is a little workforce laborious, but then also if we have these little products and we have kind of rinse and repeat stakeholder surveys for nonprofits that we built with our nonprofit friends. So we have for donors, staff, and board members. Coming out of the pandemic, we were like, these people need to be talked to with all the nonprofits. Are the donors stressed out of their minds? Are the board members stressed? How's the staff? Have you asked your staff how they're doing? So we worked with a good handful of our nonprofit friends to create these very specific surveys that are now canned so that we can bring the cost down, but we've also built all of the back-end framework to be able to, do it very quickly. So everything we do, there's nothing I create that's for one time only. So.
You sort of alluded to this, so you may have already answered it. You consider AI to be a threat or a positive thing for you because they're going to generate a lot of data that you don't have.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
You consider AI to be a threat or a positive thing for you?
Oh no, AI and I are friends. I'm on a first name basis with Chatty. Claude and I are getting used to each other. Midjourney and I have a little ways to go, but I also believe that all of these things are considered rough drafts. And it takes, we're all AI, but we're the ancient intelligence, whereas they're the artificial intelligence, right? So we can come up with the new, we can come up with the creative, and they can kind of rinse and repeat and write my blog post for me about the idea that Jack and I had, so I'm using them to help me advance my goals, and it's saving me a lot of time. Rupert.
So I very much enjoyed the presentation, and so I've seen your haikus and whatnot, and you presented some pretty good points. Can you sum up the value of what you provide in like a few words?
Sure.
Elevator.
Every single client we've worked with so far, when we have our first meeting with them, they've all said, "Oh, I've never thought about it that way before." Oh, okay. So we just have this ability to take someone who is in an industry that's been established for a long time, or starting a new industry that is combining all these other pieces, and we help them rethink about what their situation is. How can we make it better? The other thing that we've had clients tell us is, I thought I was, data savvy, but whenever I get in the room with you and I talk about my future goals, and you always ask, well, how will you measure success? How are you going to evaluate that? How are you going to make sure that it was worth your effort and worth your time? They go, oh, that's the huge value is that we bring. I mean, we can help them make better decisions, but we actually start to change the chemistry in their brains on their outlook and perspective in life.
So final question, we're running out of time, sorry, Rupert. Final question is, what can we as a community do for you?
Just keep us top of mind. There's no competitive data set that I can show you of like, well, here's our competitors. Everybody else they specialize in one thing, and so when somebody goes to them for that one thing, darn sure that's the one thing that they know that the client really needs, right? But if the client doesn't even know what they need, and they go to these people, they're going to get sold a bill of goods. And for us, we are agnostic. And so we are just a wonderful starting point for someone. We may not even say, you need us. We're like, oh, you could go to these Tableau dashboard people because all you need is a Tableau dashboard. I guarantee, not all they need is a Tableau dashboard. So just, we're here to be a sounding board. We want to educate and train the world on how to use data better. Like I said, go to our website, check out the Approachable Data Folks tab. We're still working on making a separate site, but that seems to be brand diluting. So, but we want to train, we want to educate. So if you want to get more know about data, be able to talk about it better, connect with me, and think of others. Like the biggest point is somebody going, I don't know what to do next, or I know what got me here will not get me there. Thank you.
Next, you're going to hear from Milind Barhvirkar about Go4Gold.
Thank you. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right. Oh. By the way, I tried to get Rupert to come over to my house for the last year now, so he wouldn't come over, so I named him.
Into his house, perfect.
Well, thank you, everyone. So the problem we're solving today is that brands are struggling to engage with the 3 billion gamers worldwide. Go4Gold is the most powerful platform in the industry to connect brands and sponsors with gamers in a fun and rewarding way. So a little bit about my background. I founded a company in California that became the 3rd largest arcade company. I'm best known for Tiger Woods PGA Tour, which I put in that cabinet there, and I put it online and ran esports tournaments in 6 different countries. In the US alone, we gave out $3 million in prizes, and that was the inspiration to Go4Gold. The problem, gamification is the concept of giving out prizes and rewards with your advertising. And it's very complex and difficult and expensive for brands to pull off. Like a monopoly at McDonald's costs like $10 million. So it's priced out of a lot of businesses' price range. And games like this, like Burger King's game app, don't work very well because they're HTML games, web-based games that just aren't fun for kids. So our solution is using esports and prize promotions with real games that already exist on the iOS store and Android store. And it's the ultimate player experience because players earn when they play and they earn when they purchase from their favorite sponsors. So this is the most powerful platform in gamification, experiential, and shopper marketing for a lot of reasons. But just to pick out a couple points here. We're multi-platform. So when a sponsor creates a promotion, it runs on mobile as well as on kiosk, and eventually it'll be on console. And we're performance-based. Whenever you say performance-based in advertising and marketing, obviously it hurts a lot of ears. So how it works is our sponsors can go onto a web portal and create a prize promotion. They pick their prize, they can attach offers and instant prizes. They can choose from our library of licensed games. And then they can pick a territory to run their promotion. That territory can be a city, a state, nationwide, if they'd like. And they could even designate check-in events, meaning you have to be at the business to play in the promotion. And then they can pick their budget. So we charge per engagement, and they pick a budget, and the promotion runs until it goes through its budget. So our secret sauce in one of our patent pendings is performance-based gamification. So typically when you create a gamification program, it's a big flat fee, but we only charge per engagement. We give the players a certain amount of tokens every day, and they pick their favorite products to play for. So somebody picked Wingstop here, they played their favorite game, and they got a prize which is an offer typically for playing, and then they can purchase that offer right in the app immediately when they're excited. And we give points up for the playing and points for purchasing, and those points are good for over 1,000 gift cards that we have in our system. We charge per engagement, like a pay-per-click, but a pay-per engagement is actually more successful than pay-per-click, and we can charge by redemption, kind of like Groupon. We make revenue when people play in our platform. So in this example, Jane played 40 times, and we charge the advertiser between 25 to 50 cents. So she earned us $14.20. We tested this, and we actually were making $25 per mobile user per month in testing. We just announced that we licensed 500 games, and that will give us instant access to millions of players. And what's really cool is all these games are linked together in a central bank. So as you're earning points in one game, when you download the next game, you start off with the same amount of points. Our kiosk is also revolutionary, that it's performance-based as well. So we turn regular ads into prize ads. So, and we don't charge for those ads. They're free. We only charge the advertiser when somebody comes up and plays for it on the kiosk. And it makes it very, it works really well in malls, hotels, airports, and locations like that, with a better value proposition than regular digital signage. We have contract manufacturing set up, so we can make a kiosk for any type of environment, and we're also making a wall-mounted version where it interacts with the phone, like trivia. We work through operators to distribute these kiosks out there. The operators finance it and service the machines. If an operator operates 100 of these out there, it'll make about $300,000 a year. Yeah, not too bad. We have a cloud platform that allows for our sponsors to create the promotions and then deploy them where they want. And it also provides real-time analytics. That's what I'm going to talk to Patti about after this. And we get a lot of rich data because as people are playing, we know what they're playing for, and then the advertiser can hyper-target them later on with promotions that fit them. We did do a test, and we ran a test with like Little Greeks and Taco Bell, Auntie Anne's, and Clearwater Aquarium. We were getting, in some cases, 30 to 50% coupon redemption, which is just unheard of, because nobody played for Auntie Anne's pretzels unless they were interested in eating Auntie Anne's pretzels. We have 2 technology partnerships and 3 patent pendings. We're at the intersection of 5 multi-billion-dollar industries, including digital marketing, experiential, digital signage, gamification, and esports. We make a 30% revenue share on the kiosk, but we make 90% on the mobile app. So the kiosk serves into really getting our mobile app out there. And this is just some examples, and just fair disclosure, some of these companies we're talking to, but we don't have deals with them. I just wanted to give you an example, use case. You can imagine us in a sports stadium for fan engagement for the brand, or working with like a grocery store where people are playing to save money on their groceries. There's a lot of event marketing with companies like Dunkin' Donuts and Tums, where they're trying to reach out with their brand and tie fun and engagements. Like a Disney would be amazing in hotels and theme parks. Big box retailers like Walmart, we've actually won a technology award where we're talking to them. But imagine that people are playing games and fun to save money at Walmart. Mars, for instance. Malls and airports we would do very well, and we estimate that we could make about $1 million a month per mall or airport. We're talking to a lot of hotels out there because we work really well with that. And we actually have, we're We actually have connections in many of these countries here, or all these countries here, I should say. So it's an international product as well. So that's it.
Loved you on the Arrow shirts wrappers. Loved you on the Arrow shirt wrappers.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, thanks. So, just so I understand your business model, so basically, you guys are selling these machines, are you servicing the machines, collecting cash, and doing a 50-50 split or whatever with the person that buys them? Is that basically how that works?
We provide these to entrepreneurs and operators, people that operate like ATMs and pool tables, video games, that kind of stuff. There's a network of them all around the country. They would buy these machines. We actually sell these at cost. Normally this would cost about $9,000. We sell it at a little less than $3,000. And then 100% of the revenue goes back to that operator until they get their money back. So the ROI on something like this is about 3 months. And then there's a 3-way revenue split. So the location gets a third, we get a third, and whoever bought it gets a third.
Okay, and then so the next part of that question would be, you said that you're putting advertising on there, and the whole purpose is to drive them to your app. So if, let's say I'm a vendor and I have one of these machines, is there a way to track what machine or who the owner is that drove that to your app so that the person, the vendor, that's basically marketing your service can participate in some form of revenue share that comes from revenue driven from the app?
If you were a location, I just want to answer the question right.
Yeah.
Like if you're an ice cream shop, like you're Jeremiah's, I would put the machine in there, and what it's doing is, when people come in there to buy an ice cream, they get 2 free gameplays of the machine. So when they go up there, they have to register. That gives us the data of the people coming into the location. And then we can retarget them with new promotions to drive them back there, if that makes sense.
Right, but does the person, let's say the person gets the goes to your app from that vending machine.
The person, yeah. Customer.
Right, the kid comes,
Okay.
Do they get to participate in the revenue share that's on your app? Because they, in essence, are driving business to your app. Do you guys do anything like that?
They do get a share of the revenue, yes, absolutely. So what happens is that this was in Jeremiah's, and a kid came up to play for Jeremiah's. Jeremiah's would pay us like 25 cents, let's just say. We give 10% of that back to the player in points for participating in it.
Right, no, that's not what I'm talking about. If I own the machine,
Yes.
and I'm in essence, I'm advertising your service, okay?
Okay.
You want to take people from this machine to interact with it to get onto your app, right?
Yes.
Okay, they get on your app and they start playing on your app.
Yes.
Do you share that revenue with the vendor that drove the
Got it.
person to your app?
With Jeremiah.
Gotcha. I do not. So they get a revenue share on anything that happens at the machine, but not on the mobile app. The mobile app is where we make.
But they benefit from the
That's
increased
great.
brand exposure.
Yeah, the whole idea is that we're making, it's these advertise the mobile app. When you play here, you earn points, almost like a slot machine, but it's free to play, so it's legal in all 50 states. And those points are good for gift cards. You have to download the mobile app to redeem them for gift cards.
It seems to me, grocery store, the people are in there just, I gotta get my groceries and get out, and they're gonna sit and play as much as somebody who's getting their tire repaired, and they're sitting there for hours, instead of reading a magazine, they could be playing. Obviously, it's a volume thing, how many people are coming in to get repaired as opposed to, grocery store. But would that be more? It just seems to me if there's people sitting and waiting, or, a hospital to get free Band-Aids, or I don't know,
I agree with you. I see more of a poster at Publix when you walk in with a QR code that says, win $100 off your groceries, you scan it, and you play it on your phone, and you go home. So I kind of see it more like that. But it's the grocery store application. I've already met with Albertsons, for instance. They love this concept because I split the revenue with them. So if Doritos does a promotion on the cabinet and We charge them a dime for somebody playing. We split it with the grocery store, so it's a revenue earner for them.
Okay, so it's more of them just downloading the app, not sitting at a machine playing.
Yeah. Yeah, in certain applications, you could just do a table tent, or you could win a free hamburger, just scan the QR code while you're waiting for your food, just play the game. Or you play from home.
So I appreciate what you're talking about. This falls heavily within my wheelhouse. What is the infrastructure a person has to bring into this? Do they need to have a plan on their own, or are these things essentially plug and play?
They're to own the machines?
Yeah, to own the machines.
It's plug and play. You literally, there's a little bit of training that goes on that we take care of. But really, these machines are plug and play. They're remotely controlled. Gary over here controls these devices remotely. If anything goes down in it, we could reboot the machine remotely. We can tell how much money it's making. All the it's cashless. All the revenue share happens behind the scenes.
So my bigger concern here is if a person were to purchase multiple versions of the kiosk, obviously your angle is to get them to go to the mobile app because you don't want to deal largely with the physical space. And I entirely appreciate it. I like that idea. My concern is that if you're trying to get people to put these kiosks everywhere, how can they personalize a kiosk represent their brand as well as your brand? Or is that even a possibility?
No, it's just one brand.
No, I mean the person that buys your kiosk.
Yeah.
If someone advertise themselves because they want to have more kiosks, more exposure to the market. But does your kiosk currently only represent you, or is there a potential where a client, a person who buys a kiosk can advertise themselves as well?
These can be white labeled. So we're actually right now very close to white labeling this for an account where it would be all one, right? I kind of showed that in the PowerPoint, where it's all one product. So they can specialize and customize this entire application for just them if they want.
How large is the company and how are you going to finance its future growth?
So we have raised nearly $3 million. This is not an easy endeavor to do. I can tell you this technology is pretty big. We have 15 people. Right now, most of our energy is going toward R&D, software engineering, and so forth. And we are now going into another round where we're starting to talk to family offices that are interested in that second round. So we're raising $2 million to finance the launch of this, which will get us to cash flow positive.
So I think this is too freaking cool. My question is, you said register people, right?
Yes.
And so we're back to her data. So just how successful have you been? Because before, I want to know, is this a 13, 17-year-old, where they're located? How much data have you been able to get off those people?
We tested this in 15 malls and registered 130,000 people. And of those people, over 20,000 downloaded the app and played 40 times a month. So we know this works. We know the experience works. We're confident about that.
But I want to know that person. Is it male, is it female?
Oh, we got all, believe it or not, it's all across the board. And one of the things about us is that it's TV and radio. It is, each station, each show has a specific demographic. Well, games are the same way. Like there's a different demographic playing Fortnite than there is solitaire. So when a brand comes to us with a sponsorship, they pick the game that matches the demographic they're looking for. What's different about us is people are now playing games and earning something while they're playing, and it doesn't cost any money.
I want to talk to you afterwards, okay? That's something specific to talk about.
Oh, yes, you mentioned earlier, did you say 100 kiosks would produce $300,000?
In revenue, yes. Start making those for you right away.
I have a question right here. One of the questions that came up to me, right now, assuming that this probably is connected to the network or some way.
Yes.
What do you do if you have a kiosk in like, let's say a mall that has terrible signal? How does that data get transmitted to where it needs to go?
Right now, these are 5G connected with cellular routers, and if that doesn't work, then we connect to the Wi-Fi. We've got to get internet somehow to them. The track modes are all controlled through the portal. So if you want to change any of these movies out, you can do it remotely, as well as add any promotions on the fly.
Great idea. I love your concept, so congratulations. Give me an idea, how long does a person have to play in order to make $20, for example, as a consumer? And I'm assuming the consumer doesn't pay anything to play, correct?
They don't pay anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I would say to make $20, I'd say they're going to be in the range of playing for an entire month. I think they could earn a $25 gift card in a month if they play every day.
Okay, so it accrues very slowly for the consumer.
You could.
They're not playing 8 hours a day for a month.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what I'm trying to quantify how long, because I can see there's so many ways that you can get people engaged into this.
Yeah.
So many different groups of people, but I'm trying to figure out how time consuming is this and how realistic it is for somebody to actually save $20 a month in groceries, for example.
Yeah, so there's things of this sort on apps but the problem is that they're making 1/100th of a penny because pop-up ads don't work, and then they give you 1,000th of a penny for participating in the thing. What's great about ours is we're making 25 cents to 50 cents per engagement, and then we give you 10% back. So every time you play, you could be earning 2.5 cents to a nickel. So, and then if you buy something, you could be earning like $1 or $2 back in a rebate. So we're like Ebates in that regard.
Okay.
So that's why I think people could earn 20. And then we also use one currency system. So no matter what you're playing for, and no matter which game you're playing on, it goes into that one central account. And it always follows you. So if you play at this kiosk in the ice cream shop, then you go play at the pizza shop, then you go play on your phone, it's the same central bank to get you to that $25.
Last question.
How are you selling this product? Or do you have a sales team that is going direct to the locations and selling the machines?
Yeah, so it's two-part. So the small businesses are going to be run by a company called SalesFix, a very good friend of mine that I've known for years. Julian and Tim run that. They ran Groupon from 2011 to 2017. One ran the outside sales team, one ran the inside sales team. They think this is the new Groupon because it's a cool way of earning coupons. And then I handle the national sales as far as going to ad agencies. We presented this, by the way, at a Las Vegas show called the Experiential Marketing Summit, and we met with like Nike and Adidas and Walmart, and the reaction was just overwhelming. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can talk after because I am in sales and I might be able to help you out.
Oh, great, love to.
Excellent, that's what I like to see. So the final question is, how can we as a community help you?
Well, Orlando's rich with clients that would work perfectly on this. Amusement parks, a lot of the attractions like, Gatorland or Fun Park. So introduction, we're trying to meet those companies. A Disney, for instance, we would love to meet those companies. I can tell you the reaction is going to be overwhelming. They absolutely love this product because we revenue share with them. Plus, it's fun and rewarding, and we can make it fit in the environment. We are starting to meet family offices. If people have contacts in family offices that might be located in Orlando, that would be wonderful as well, going into the next round that we're doing.
Okay, great. All right.
Barhvirkar.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely want to talk to Rupert, Mr. Gamer. So. All right, next week, we do not have any speakers. So if you would like to speak, we had both Patti and Milind register within a week and work with Josh, get scheduled, and get up here. It was like 5 days. So you can do it. If you have not presented, or if you've presented more than 6 months ago, we would love to see you up here next week. Otherwise, I'm going to do a session, and nobody wants that. So I would say download the chat, but there's not much of a chat, just me telling people online how to check in. But if you want it, I'll send it to you. Join us on meetup.com. If that's how you heard about us, great. If you were not on Meetup, make sure you follow our Meetup page, 1 Million Cups Orlando, and it's all hyphenated. We're also on Facebook. Be sure you connect with somebody here today. You've met a lot of wonderful people. We have a lot of new people. I don't want you to leave without introducing yourself to somebody and at least getting a business card and possibly setting a time for coffee. So, Rupert, do you have something?
Yep. Morning, everybody. It's great to see a nice crowd in here this morning. So, I run an organization called Orlandopreneur, and it's a new organization. We started in December. We have 1,000 members already. We held a happy hour meetup the third Monday of every month. Put it on your calendar. The next one's August 21st. We're averaging 120 plus people per event, and this is a great place for you to identify new customers, lead generate, build your brand, and find investors, because 10% of the people that show up are investors. And we're getting people. A week ago Monday, we had investors from Denver, Vegas, and Tampa, right? Come in to Orlando to attend our event. So it's going to be the Blue Martini at Point Orlando on August 21st. It's free.
Only other free networking event in Orlando.
Yeah.
So
well, not for long, hopefully.
So don't forget your parking pass. They are, I had this question a few times, they are the business card looking things on the coffee station. If you parked in the garage, in the Truist garage, make sure you grab a parking pass. I'm not going to tell you that they will work beyond this event and keep one in your car. I'm not saying that at all. So thank you very much, and we will see you all in 167 hours. Have a good week. Guten Morgen.
Wie geht's? Ist klar?
Es geht gut.